2023 wasn't a good year for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm trying to make 2024 a better one for myself. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto options, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Head to factormeals.com/C350 and use the promo code C350 to get 50% off. That's code C350 at factormeals.com/C350 to get 50% off.
Looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. You could turn $10 into $250. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/fan and use code FAN. That's code FAN at prizepicks.com/fan.
Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Yo, it's the deal, Panther fans. It's your boy, the Professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Every Tuesday night, C3 Panthers Podcast chops up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective in our 8th season, going strong every week this year, and just like the Panthers going strong, actually. So go ahead and smash the thumbs up button. Be a part of the show. The number's 252-228-5098. And hang out with my boy, Cody Lashney, one of my best friends, man. Every Tuesday night we get to hang out and rap about football. What's better than that?
Tony Dunn, what's up, man? It's another Tuesday night. We're going to talk about some Panthers football. We actually do have a little bit of news to talk about for once. We're on the heels of Thursday night football. With a home matchup against a division rival. And we have a lot to talk about. And as always, we're going to do it with the best Panther fans in all of YouTube. Tin Tizzy, Brad Dugan, Blake Bettis, Supreme Lita, Joey the Blind, Panther Esquivel, Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
Let me see. I don't even know if there's any plugs to put in. Oh, here, I know what you need to do. You need to go, if you want to put a little cheddar on the games, you want to bet along with the Professor. You could bet against the Professor after this past week. I think I went 0-5 after a 4-1 week last week, or the week before. I think I went 0-5. Thanks Cam Newton for that. But if you want to bet opposite of me, my suggestion is you go to mybookie.ag. Between the NFL, college ball, and the MLB playoffs, there's no shortage of games to watch, and thousands of lines are available on all your favorite sports and events. You can turn your game day into a payday at MyBookie. When you go there, you'll get a dollar for dollar deposit bonus if you use the promo code OVERTIME. That is the promo code OVERTIME at mybookie.ag. Stack UFC cards, presidential prop bets. Hey, we were talking about this before. You're tired of politics. If you really want to be irritated with politics, why don't you gamble on it? Holy cow. You could do that at mybookie.ag. Use the promo code OVERTIME. Hey, and you like the UFC, right? Any good fights coming up there?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, I might even partake myself, man. I put money down on fights before and won some cheddar. It's fun.
MyBookie.ag, promo code overtime. My suggestion if you're gambling on UFC is if they have cauliflower ear, like if their ears are all fucked up, bet on them.
Well, that's kind of, they're pretty
those
much
mugs are
ear.
not all of them, man. Nah, I see some of these mugs. They come in there, they looking all good, and they come up this guy and this mug come in with a cauliflower ear and just bust that ass. That's my advice.
If you don't ever pick a fight with a guy who has cauliflower ear, he has seen and done some things, and he will hurt you. Yeah, that's like a badge of honor and respect amongst fighters. The bigger and more gruesome your ears are, that's
I mean, that means you've been doing it since you were a baby. I wonder what the line is on the Panthers game this week. Anyway, the Panthers go on the road to face the Saints this past Sunday. And what was a solid game in a lot of aspects, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. The end of the game coming down kind of to a near record-setting field goal by Joey Sly. There was a lot of, I think, fun things about this game, and the fact that the Panthers only lost by 3 as they fall down to 3-4. Now, a couple of days off of this game, Cody, any further thoughts about it going? Because we got a short week going up against the Atlanta Falcons.
I mean, no. I mean, I'm sort of kind of where I always have been on the Panthers. I feel like I know what this football team is. And I think even Matt Rule in his press conferences has started to say that this is an evaluating year. And a lot of young guys that are getting reps that have been forced into playing time, guys like Troy Pride, guys like Sam Franklin, I mean, guys all up and down this roster that have had to play meaningful reps. And, you know, I look at this past game against the Saints, and it was competitive because I think our defense, the key players in our defense, guys like Derek Brown, Jeremy Chin, Brian Burns, I mean, they are game changers. And it's not necessarily like, you know, each one of them has had like a true, maybe Jeremy Chin has really been having some very impressive moments, but they've all just been consistent, I think. And that's what kind of kept us in that game. And I feel like our defense deserves some credit because we're going to talk about Bridgewater.
So our defense deserves credit after a week where we gave up 86% of third downs.
Well, but in my opinion, though, that goes a lot to they were the better football team. They were the better coached football team, I think. Not like Matt Rule had a bad game or anything or that we were poorly coached, but Sean Payton had a great game plan. And, you know, they have the benefit of being at the tail end of something that they have done year after year the past 4 years in a row. Like it's the same coaching staff, a lot of the same players. And the fact that we made it close, like I said, I was proud after the game that we made it as close as we did. And I'm still, you know, kind of proud of them now. And I don't know about you, Tony, but I feel really good about our chances going into this Thursday, even though, you know, we did lose.
Just looked it up as we're 3-point favorites in this game. The over-under is 49. They actually don't see tremendous amount of scoring going on at this point. I mean, just reasonable. It's kind of like a used to be average NFL football game. All right, so I went back and watched the game. And I got to say first, I got to apologize to somebody on the Panthers team.
Really?
Yeah, I got to apologize to Dante Jackson. So in the post game, I was trying to find something to talk about. I mean, obviously, is that you're sitting there, you're looking at this game, you're in the immediate emotion afterwards, right? You saw a defense that just seemingly couldn't get off the field, right? And we were searching for reasons in the post game of why we could not get off the field. And we saw a lot of it in the linebacker position. We saw their ability to turn kind of screenplays. CK talked about this. Screenplays into big yardage stuff. Drew Brees at one point was like 11 for 11 when he was passing on third down or some crazy shit like that. 8 for 8.
Yeah.
It was insane. So I said, is that like we were complimentary of the offense after this game? We were very critical, or I was very critical of the linebacking core, and I think am very much warranted. But I went back and I was watching it, and I tell you this, they didn't throw to Dante Jackson's side one time in that game, I don't think. And I was sitting here saying, I want Dante to be involved in the mix. You're just expecting his name to come up, and it wasn't there. And I was like underwhelmed by it after the game. And in all honesty, the fact that his name didn't come up was a good thing, and it was indicative of what was going on. And I won't even say it was Dante just being shut down. Dante always lined up to the left side of Drew Brees. So if you're Drew Brees looking at the Panthers defense, he's on the left. And all Drew Brees did is they hiked the ball and threw it to that right zone corner every fucking time. Like, Drew Brees didn't even look left. You could have almost not even played anybody on that side of the field, and I don't even know if Drew Brees would have noticed. He hiked the ball and threw it to his right. Hiked the ball and threw it to his right. So I was tough on Dante Jackson, and turns out he had no reason. That dude was probably one of the better people on that team on Sunday. Now,
well, and I think you mentioned it too. It hurt us not having Rasul Douglas.
Yeah.
And that was, for all the trash I talk about Marty Herney, like that's been the one good pickup that he has made here recently that's actually truly benefited this team. I don't know if you're ready to talk about it yet, but I think it kind of segues into the biggest news, the most recent
news of today, right? Yeah, I would think it's a perfect time. Go ahead and bring it up.
Okay, I'm a little bit torn because one, I'm okay with the move, but when you hear
tell people what happened. The people that are listening, what happened today?
It's funny how it happened. So today, the Panthers released Eli Apple. And Eli Apple was essentially supposed to be our number two receiver corner outside of Dante Jackson. And he has just been hurt the entire time that he's been here. I think maybe he played like 1 or 2 series, but for the most part, homeboy has done nothing.
I think he's only played like 5 snaps on special teams.
He's been an absolute no one on this football team. I wasn't a fan of the signing because of how many penalties he got last year for the Saints. So it's funny how it happened, though. So apparently he goes in today and he's like, oh, my hamstrings kind of hurt. I'm not feeling well. And the coaching staff said, all right, we'll just go inside and get training, get treatment, and just take the day off again. So he goes to have a recovery day, and as they send him to do that, they cut his ass, which I find to be hilarious. Like, dude, how savage do you have to be? All right, go ice up. And then literally they're icing you up as they're cutting you off the football team. I mean, it was...
ice up in the most literal sense.
Yeah, really, ice up. Dude, I was never a big Eli Apple fan, even before. I understand the signing at the time, though, so that's why I wasn't hard on Herney when they did sign Apple, even though I would have preferred someone different. But I don't know, man. This just seems like a good move all the way around, right? He's not doing anything for us.
Did you see there was somebody that tweeted this out? And I thought you were almost going to quote them in when you were telling what happened today. But it was like they were – I assume this is what the tweet was doing, is like just saying how this happened. It said something like – it was like Eli Apple comes out to practice injured again, and it goes, Matt Rule says that motherfucker MF is hurt again. Get the fuck out of here. And it was just like, it was just so silly the way they put it. But so, all right, Eli Apple does bring us something with the secondary. Rasul Douglas, right, who was on the COVID list last week. I think he's able to play, I would assume. If you're going to cut Eli Apple? Eli Apple hasn't done anything on this team. I don't even know if he's, been at the meetings at this point. You know what I'm saying? It's he's been being a part of – he's only been on this team in name. In name only. Other than that, so with our secondary, Dante Jackson, Rasul Douglas, and then – Coach Rule says this is a valuation year because they also cut Seth Robertson. And Seth Robertson is a bigger-bodied receiver who has actually played a noteworthy amount of snaps this year, right? I've seen him on the field. I remember seeing him. Oh, I know that's Seth Robertson. And he was cut along with somebody else. He was dancing. One of these guys was dancing at a club, they said, without a mask on. What was this about?
Yeah.
That was another practice squatter. I thought, what did you think about that? And do you think there is some sort of – I don't like the internet shaming that goes on with this type of stuff. All of a sudden you see all these news outlets being like, Panther player, no mask, and then the next day's cut. I mean, I don't feel good about it.
The Corona police are real, man. They're coming after your neck. But you're thinking about cornerback Josh Hawkins, and he was a practice squad guy, and apparently he was out somewhere. He was at a club with his girl or something, and they took a picture of him without the mask.
I didn't even see him around anybody. It didn't even look like. And then you're right, the Corona police went after it, didn't they?
Dude, he was just the scapegoat, man. I feel like every other post on Twitter, if it's a picture of anyone, it's someone saying are they far enough apart and do they have a mask? It's God, God. We're at the time of year where everything is extra specially annoying.
I'm so glad. The other day I was outside, I'm be 39 next month, so I'm approaching the midlife. We're going through, my wife and I are about that midlife age. And the other day I was outside and I was alone. My wife was out of town. And I was like, oh, man, it's the worst thing is when you recognize that you're just average. You know what I'm saying? I was just thinking oh, my life is just average. I'm just average. I'm not good. So it was one of these midlife moments. And then now thinking about it, I'm so glad I'm average enough to where people don't take my picture and put it on Twitter and police me. I'm on the internet talking and people don't give a shit.
Yeah, man. It's a pretty good deal. Hey, man, it could always be a lot worse. Always be a lot. But hey, hold on, I have to pinpoint this comment in our chat just because it's incredible. My man Tree 50 says, "Funny how we picked corn over apple." Now that
corn elder?
Yeah, man, corn, man, corn elder. Corn pops, and they said one bad apple will spoil the bunch. We had to cut his ass.
And I don't wear this jersey anymore, dude. This show,
I did tell that story on here before about Eli Apple, right? When he was with the New York Jets, and how they were interviewing him, and just right in the middle of his interview, he's like, "I gotta take a shit."
Yeah, you have told us about this.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's that's the best thing he's done in the NFL.
Cody said he said he'll be here in a minute. He's wrapping up a work call. Let's go ahead and get into the cat calls.
Yeah.
The number's 252-228-5098, and also we've got to talk about Christian McCaffrey's potential return. Could be Thursday. I don't think it doesn't look like it's going to be Thursday, but it's nearing. So think about that. 252-228-5098. Be a part of the conversation.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in the snow? Who's that kid that can use one?
Hey guys, Jason from Colorado calling. After listening to the post-game show, I wanted to talk a little bit about the linebacker situation. I'd called in and I kind of reneged on being a Shaq apologist, but I kind of started to think about the circumstances surrounding how we approached that position in free agency. And like when we brought in Tahir Whitehead, the number one thing that's positive that people had to say about him was that he was a good leader, that he was the players around him liked him. And I think that that's reflected in the fact that they chose to make him a team captain. And I don't think that he fills the role in the same way that Thomas Davis did. He was always the real vocal on the field leader, even more than Luke Kuechly. Kuechly was an amazing field general and he could get people in the right places, but when it came to on the field leadership and holding people accountable and setting the standard, it was all Thomas Davis. And I don't see anything similar between him and Tahir Whitehead. But I think that Shaq, I don't think he's a leader. I think that he looks to other players and he can kind of emulate what they're doing. And so when we surround him with good players like TD and Luke, he can play up to their standards. And that's when we decided that he was worth signing and whether or not he's actually turned out to be worth it so far. But I don't think, now that he's surrounded by talent that's at a lower level than him, I still think that he's looking to Tahir Whitehead as a leader and as an example. And I think that that's kind of reflected in the way that he plays, where he doesn't break down. He's kind of lost some of his fundamentals, which I know that he'd be reamed by TD for, but the same sort of thing doesn't happen. It seems like we don't have some of that on-field leadership. And so, I mean, I would love to see us go out and, like y'all were talking about, potentially approaching, the trade deadline, trying to make a deal on a real middle linebacker that can also fill that leadership role that Shaq can look to kind of bounce off of. I wonder what you guys' thoughts are on that. But I also wanted to talk a little bit about what I think is what we're doing well, and I kind of wanted to try to classify what our team is and try to put it into words. And I feel like the most common phrase is that we have a dink and dunk offense, but I think the offensive philosophy that is behind that is that you take what the defense gives you. And the play that I think would have really solidified this in my mind would have been that play when he threw it to Robbie Anderson in double coverage and he didn't look at DJ. And he didn't go through his progressions. He didn't take what the defense gave him on that play. And I think that was the most glaring example. But in the games where we're successful, I think Teddy is good at that. I think that's the thing that you want Teddy to be good at, like in addition to ball management.
All right, so there's enough. Obviously, there's going to be another part of this conversation to go, but let's start with
great call.
Yeah, a lot to unpack there. Shaq Thompson playing up or not playing up to, I guess, what has been our prototypical understanding position. But before we get into that, let's really quick welcome CK into the house. What's up, CK?
How's it going?
Chilling, but.
Working, man.
Anything good?
Chilling, man.
Yeah, we're trying. We've been talking about COVID police. We've been talking about corn, our veggies over our fruits.
Yeah.
And some things like that. Look at that beard, man. It's getting longish.
Yeah, like it gets real crazy when I do this. Cody knows this. But,
when you uplift it.
Oh yeah.
I got that crazy hobo look to it now.
Looks like you took a balloon and rubbed it on it and got the
Makes
static
me look
going.
fatter.
Oh, dude, I take a comb through my sideburns, my beard, my mustache. Hey, dude, I got to. I might find some loose change in there sometime.
This is the epitome of what COVID has done to the world.
Oh, dude, look at my hair, man. My hair is the longest it's ever been in my life. I'm like, we get the try crap. Oh, Yeah, we get to try stuff and not feel that
can't
bad
really
about it.
tell, but my hair is down to like past my shoulders. It's kind of crazy.
So Shaq not playing up to what we really need him to be, and that kind of high-end polished player, missing a lot of assignments, it seems like. Particularly, I think I went back and looked at the game, and what was more upsetting about anything with our linebacking core is that they're terrible against the run. And I thought that to hear yes, but like, I mean, you thought that these guys would have some like Whitehead. You'd be like, all right, well, the guy's a good tackler. He's going to be a run type, helpful in that part of the game. But when you're not even good at what we thought we were going to be good at. So speak on Shaq Thompson trying to become a pro without. But what's his name? Luke's there. Why isn't Luke helping him more? I know he's just a scout. He's not like on the field.
Yeah, it's.
But
different.
I feel like Luke needs to get up in his ear and be like, "What the hell, Shaq? Come on."
Well, one of the things that you notice though, in a 4-3, or when you run the type of front that we do, the middle linebacker is the dude. It's the inside guy. Now if you're a weak side or strong side linebacker, if you're Thomas Davis, that's great, but your level of play has to take it to the next level. And I feel like our caller really kind of hit the nail on the head when Shaq Thompson has that older brother, older mentor figure around him, someone who has more responsibility than him. He's really good at filling those roles, and he can be a good little piece to a good defense. However, he's not the centerpiece to your linebacking core. And that's why, I'm even wondering too, and this is something that I know some people know. On offense, they have the quarterback has a green sticker on the back of his helmet so he can hear plays from the offensive coordinator. Well, there's one player on defense that can hear the defensive coordinator too, and he has a little green sticker. I wonder who that is for our team. Now, normally it's your inside linebacker. It's your Mike linebacker. And that's been Luke for us. But now is it Shaq? Is it Tahir Whitehead? I would certainly hope that it's not Whitehead. But
I think it's Shaq. I feel like I have seen Shaq trying to tell guys like what's coming, like calling plays out and some things like that. It's not as animated as we've seen with Luke Kuechly or anything like that. Yeah, it's disappointing Shaq is not kind of stepping in and just fulfilling that role of what we've become accustomed to with linebackers as Panther fans. I mean, we've always had good linebackers, and right now it's kind of tough to look on the field. And, Shaq's supposed to be that guy, and he hasn't been at this point. I saw Nova Black said Tahir Whitehead looks like a butt head. Like, he calls him butt head. It's like his head looks like actual butt. I thought that was funny. Why isn't he playing more polished at this point, CK? That's our call right now. Is earlier the cat call said is that you've always had these guys that have kind of uplifted his game, and now Shaq's has to be that guy, and it's difficult on this team. And someone in the comments also pointed to Isaiah Simmons, said something about like, oh, he'd be getting killed or something. Did you see him with that nasty ass pick last night?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Oh,
and by
that
the way,
mess was awesome, dude. Like, that mess was awesome. What a play.
So he had a few rookie mistakes early, and they aren't playing him very much. But I'm entirely convinced that it's a coaching thing why he's not getting time. Like, that guy's too skilled and athletic. He's going to be fine. No, I don't know. I mean, it's in the past. I'm not going to.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like, we don't even got to care about him in relation to our team. It was just
it doesn't matter.
Like, fun to watch.
I did see that comment too. But our linebacking core is bad, and it's going to be a problem. And really, it kind of gets into this matchup that we have coming up here. I don't know if either of you know the status right now of Julio Jones.
He played last week, right? Did he play last week?
He did.
So is he set to play this week?
I think so.
I know he was dealing with something, But well, if they have him, then I mean, you have to worry about that middle of the field. And Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones, I feel like they always play us tough. They play us tough at home. We have no reason to lose because I think it's the Falcons, and they're one of the worst teams in football this year. But I don't know, man. I'm always worried now that our middle linebackers are just going to get ripped apart all season. Like, our linebackers aren't equipped to face what's coming unless someone takes it to the next level.
Well, Todd Gurley did play well against us in the first matchup, right? Is that we had problems with him with those crack tosses, as Matt Rule said. But at this point, like, do we really even? For me, is the Falcons beat themselves each and every week. Like, if you lose to the Falcons at this point, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't have anything to do with you.
You're an embarrassment. If you lose to the Falcons,
how did they lose against Detroit? Did you see that shit?
Yeah, they had a 96.8% win probability rate.
Again, dude. Again.
Yeah.
Dude, that's never happened to a team ever.
Like, if that goes beyond, let's be honest, that goes beyond just coaching, bad, like that is bad luck, period. Like, you could have the worst team in the history of the NFL and not have as much bad luck as the Atlanta Falcons have had this year.
I mean, it's not off topic either, because that's our next opponent.
Yeah.
Are the Falcons like the most embarrassing team in football? There's some embarrassing football teams right now.
I mean, not more than the Jets. I mean, the Jets are the worst. They're the worst.
Yeah, but I feel like everyone knows that they're the worst and they expect them to be the worst. But the Falcons always do this. Oh, I'm about to win. And just crash.
Like, they look like they could be like a 5-win team right now at times. Or like I mean, they've been ahead in every game, I think. Maybe except for ours.
Yeah,
or were they even ahead in ours?
They have talent. Like, it's not like there isn't good players on that football team. There clearly is. But they just suck. They just suck, man.
Oh, Brad Dugan says no, it's the Cowboys. Speaking of,
that whole division's terrible, isn't it?
Do you guys think that Mike McCarthy's going to be fired this year?
His sausage eating ass, probably so.
I mean, think about that.
Dude,
what if my man gets fired this year? And I'm so glad. I'm so embarrassed that his whispering, that propaganda shit was kind of working on me.
What, not me? Never worked on me. I'm telling you. Did you hear that? Did you hear that people in the locker room are already like talking to reporters, talking about?
I heard that's
the coaches don't teach and all this other shit.
Yeah, that's what spawned my actual tweet after that. Like, hearing, I don't know, it might have been Chris Collinsworth or somebody talking about it. Like, and then and in my opinion, if you're going to come out, just come out and just say it, and don't go behind the. I heard somebody on the Fox, I guess, halftime show talking about that.
Right.
I'm like, gosh, he's already got people. Like, it took him years to do that in Green Bay, to have people coming and talking about him behind his back. Now it's happening within the first half of the season with a new organization. I mean, this is when you're supposed to be winning over your fans and your people. And this guy has somehow just turned the entire organization against him. It's so interesting.
It's crazy. And somebody was telling me that, or I read, or was it you, CK, that said that they're the worst football? Somebody was telling me that they're
one of the worst
defenses in the history of football.
Definitely, and they're the worst right now. They're on pace to be the worst Cowboys defense to ever exist. Now,
I think they might be the worst defense in the world, man. They lost 25-3 against.
Too bad we couldn't face them and then put up like a 50 bomb on them.
Yeah, I gotta say, if you want to feel better about yourself, play the Cowboys, unless you are the Falcons,
or play the NFC East.
Yeah, but then dude, there's a lot. But that's what I'm saying. That's why I brought it up, because it is interesting. Because there's a lot of real dog shit football teams. The Jaguars suck again, and no one's
but they were
it.
supposed to suck.
Philadelphia kind of sucks.
They're all right. They're gonna making a comeback, man. They're getting better.
The Giants suck.
They're terrible.
I think the Redskins suck.
I think the Redskins are. I think the Redskins are.
Pardon me, the football team.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The Washington football team, I think they are going to win the division, but I think they're going to win with a negative record.
Yeah. I mean, he's already talking about 2014. Ron Rivera, I saw an article where he's like, we did it in 2014. All right. Think about.
Real quick, did you hear that Eric Reed, the Washington wanted to sign Eric Reed and he stiffed him? He said, no, I don't want to go play there.
Yeah, and to the practice squad. And I don't understand, to be honest, they must have really changed practice squad rules a lot, because I thought that if you were a vested veteran,
you couldn't be
on the practice squad. It used to be like, you know what I'm saying? Like you had to be signed and you got paid a minimum or something like that. And it must be COVID that they changed the rules with that, because I don't even think he should be eligible. Maybe you have to be on the or it felt like it in the past. It's not.
Des Bryant signed to Baltimore. He's a Raven now.
On their practice squad, yeah.
All right, 252-228-5098. Here's part 2 of that call. We still got to talk about Dink and Dunk.
I got cut off there, but Teddy is doing what we expected him to do. Obviously, he's not perfect, and he's going to be making mistakes. I was really encouraged by the way that he navigated the pocket this last week. And I don't think you can put any blame on him for the pocket collapsing on him on that last sack, because it happened in all sides at once, and he had nowhere to go. He couldn't even.
Matt Rule did, though. Matt Rule didn't let him off the hook, from what I heard.
Anyway, I think that
I didn't hear the actual comment.
That kind of offensive philosophy. You know, when DJ was wide open against the Saints, then Teddy was able to take advantage of that, because that was something that the defense gave us. And I think that also kind of when you get into the red zone, those problems become amplified. And I think that kind of talks to our red zone inefficiencies, is that when there's less field to cover, the defense doesn't give you as much. And so when there's no obvious low-hanging fruit to take advantage of, our offense struggles. When all the bases are covered, we don't really have a release valve. And I think Christian McCaffrey provides that, but until we get him back, it's something that we don't really have. In terms of defense, I think that our defense is predicated on not giving up big plays. I don't think that we can idealize this, that we'd be able to generate pressure and turnovers and all of these things at the same time, but I think we can all agree that our roster isn't talented enough for that. But in order to remain competitive, you have to be able to stay in the game, and I think the way that you do that is by if you can prevent the big plays, your defense doesn't get discouraged, your morale doesn't drop, you can stay in it and give your offense a chance to gain rhythm, possess the clock, control the time of possession battle, and ultimately win the game. And I think that's the philosophy that you can see our coaches have adopted. I got into it with a guy on a Reddit feed that was just talking about how we should be rushing 4 all the time. And I don't think that our secondary can hold up to that, especially against a quarterback like Drew Brees, who's so experienced at recognizing blitzes and beating them. And I just don't think that was something that we needed to rely on. We can let them dink and dunk and eat us up underneath all day long. And a stat that I think backs up that offense that that our defense is predicated on not giving up the big plays is that if you look at our scoring summaries, we've only given up 4 touchdowns of 20 or more yards. 2 of them were botched runs, one for Leonard Fournette in the Bucs game, and the other was Devontae Freeman that they blew through the middle and they were off to the races. And then we gave up 1 to Mike Adams, and I don't remember who the last one was, but
Leonard Fournette, Gurley, all runs. All right, let's go ahead and get into that call. I think that's a reasonable take on our defense, and kind of a juxtaposition to our offenses. Basically, is Teddy is good when he's got kind of a lot of open field to find guys and weaknesses in the zone and some things. And as the field gets shorter, it becomes more difficult for them to kind of make these laser-like plays or breakaway. You know, I mean, I don't know if we don't have the personnel, both, and Teddy. So I think that's a reasonable point. And then on the defense, you know, that's kind of always that. Isn't that every football team's is don't give up the big play. A. And B is I don't even really have a problem with us dropping back so many. Is like the real problem is that we just are getting gashed for big ass runs all the time. That's the real problem. It's not even the dink and dunk passes. Like, all right, we got that. That's gonna happen. It's just like it'll be 2nd and 8, and it's like 3rd and inches.
Well, I think that one very great calls altogether. I think that was Jake from Denver. Great calls altogether. I do think that he has a point when he's talking about our defense being predicated upon this bend, don't break. But I partly think it's out of necessity. Our defense has to be that way because we just don't have the personnel to do anything different from a defensive standpoint. And that goes back to his first call when we were talking about linebackers. I mean, we just don't, on the second level, it doesn't matter if they're passing on us or running on us. We are not dependable tacklers in the next level of the football field. When it comes to Teddy Bridgewater, I think it's one of those things where it's the exact opposite of our defense. That dink and dunk, like he mentioned, I mean, our offense is a 10 to 15-yard marginal move down the field offense, which that's okay.
And that's what the Saints offense was against us.
Yeah, right. And I see this is where I bite my tongue, and it's so frustrating, man, because I've been so hard on Bridgewater because he doesn't throw the deep ball, and there have been times when he just doesn't see when he does have a man open downfield, and it's infuriating because I feel like he does have the arm to do it. And it's just he's not seeing it, or he's just not being aggressive enough in doing it. But I think it's going to be a problem because once we play a team like Kansas and even Atlanta's a bad football team, but they have good offensive players. Like they still have Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley and Todd Gurley. They can put up points on any given day, right? We have to be able to put up points on them and be aggressive. It's one thing to be a ball control offense, but you have to be able to move the ball down the field when you're down 14 or more points sometime to have a real chance. Whereas it's nothing for the team like Kansas to drop 17 points in no time. I don't think the Panthers are going to do that. So us having a dink and dunk offense benefits us because it kills the clock. It allows us to run the football, and that's our recipe for success right now. Run the football, dink and dunk, be efficient, and make sure our defense bends but doesn't break. Like that's our only recipe for success going forward because there isn't much dynamic elements to either side of the football, in my opinion.
Well, I tell you one thing is I was looking around the league at some of the other games, and despite whatever limitations Teddy Bridgewater has, I was actually thinking about you today too with it, and that is what you hate about Teddy Bridgewater is that he's actually good enough to win. And not all he's better than a lot of the shitty ass quarterback. I looked at the Bears last night. And Foles can actually every now and then, man, he's throwing these deep balls and they're right on the money.
The Bears' offensive line,
God, yes, it is fucking tragic, bro.
Trash.
Oh, so Teddy is good. Is he gives you a chance to win, but and I think that when we play complementary football, the problem is we're not. If you put Teddy on that Bears defense, that Bears team, they're better.
Yeah, they're a better football team. But
we don't have the Bears defense. Did you see how gassed that defense was?
But our offensive line's better than their offensive line, so right. No, he might be worse off there.
Maybe He's been pretty elusive. I tell you one thing, is Foles can't move at all.
Oh, I remember something I wanted to talk about that was actually from the Saints game. Did y'all hear Cam Jordan's name a whole lot?
No, oh my God, this
joke. You know why you didn't hear his name that often?
He's going against Moton.
Because Taylor Moton is a motherfucking monster, y'all. I'm telling you, we need to pay that man. Like, listen, that's the one thing that everyone should be able to agree on right now. Whether you want a quarterback in the draft or your team, Teddy Bridgewater, until you die, you should want Taylor Moton to get paid. He is easily our best offensive lineman at a very important position, being right tackle. He goes against the best pass rushers and holds his own. He did great against Bosa this year. He did great against Cam Jordan. Pay Taylor Moton, damn it.
I don't think we have a choice.
We have to, man.
I don't think you cannot go into next season thinking about this. Okun's going to be gone. You can't go into next season with Paradis, Greg Little, and maybe
you've got to get Moton. Guards. You've got to.
There's too many holes to fill. You already need to get Moton and a left tackle, or Moton and a top level guard.
I think Greg Little is going to be that guy next in the left tackle spot. I think he showed a lot of promise, and honestly, I think maybe he just needed to be behind a guy like Okung that can say, "Listen, this is how you do this." Because up until this point, he hasn't learned behind an All-Pro like Okung has
anyone.
Had. Yeah, and so I think you've seen him go out there, and in the limited amount of snaps that we've seen him take, he has been, actually pretty impressive. So I think he's still the answer in the future. I just think he needed to be mentored a little bit. But Moton, 100%, he is the only steady part of this offensive line that I think that we can consistently say is held up his end of the bargain. And so, and he's been available for the most part. Like, he's not injury prone as some other offensive linemen.
No, I think he's played and that's the one thing. Knock on wood. I think he's played since his rookie year.
Absolutely.
Everything that we want to do. I mean, dude, that's why I was pounding the table to build a wall around he who shall no longer be named on this podcast anymore. Because I was just dude, it's so important to have an offensive line that pass protects, that run blocks. Taylor Moton, no matter what you want or think about the Panthers, Taylor Moton makes everything that we do easier. We need to pay him, especially now that we paid Christian McCaffrey. Pay him.
All right, 252-228-5098.
Hey, Tony. Hey, guys. This is Chuck from Elizabeth City, up in the northeastern corner of the state.
Well,
just wanted to say a couple of things. First of all, I think it's glaringly obvious that with the COVID and new coaching regime and just everything being brought in like it is and working against the curve, Matt Rule and his staff has done an awesome job.
I agree.
I think the one thing that's hurt us the most, Cam's the best player we've had in franchise history. But I think they saw he was done or we weren't going in that direction. And as much as I love Cam, I think they made the right call. Same thing with Greg Olsen. Couldn't pay him when he wanted it, go back and forth on that. But it was time to say goodbye. But Luke retiring, for his health, it makes sense. But if we had Luke in the middle, our linebacking core would not look so bad. Shaq would not be the primary backer. And I just feel like we look so much better on defense, but it is what it is. The second thought I want to get from you guys, and it's been talked about some, is free agency after this year, particularly our free agents. Who can we hang on to? I'm afraid in years past and how we're up against the cap at times, never keeping on to homegrown talent we've had. I think the number one priority we have to do is we have to keep Taylor Moton. We have to find a way, not break the bank necessarily, but we can't let another team come in here like the Giants did with Bradbury and just sign him away and we restart another position. Secondly, I really think Curtis Samuel, I know it's hard to keep Bobby Anderson and DJ Moore, and we got other receivers we can get in the draft, but this guy's electric. I'm starting to see good things from him. And then the main negative aspect with him is just keeping him healthy. He's sneaked up a lot, but we've got to find a way to keep this guy paying without overpaying. Do something, even if it's short term. And
that's a good call.
We're so thin in the secondary, and that's letting Bradbury go. I like what I'm getting from Dante Jackson when he's on the field. And, we're going to have to find a way to keep him, make sure we don't lose him if we can. I don't know what you guys' thoughts are on those three or anybody else or what we can do. But I'll say keep pounding guys, doing an awesome job, and I'm extremely.
Chuck, right, from Elizabeth City with Call of the Night right there. Really top to bottom. Is if you think about it, is that you said, Cody, the he who shall not be named, the Voldemort of the podcast. And CK said it in the post game. What'd you say, CK, about Cam?
I think I said I think we made the right move. I mean, it just I hate to be that person, but it feels as though, I mean, it's been exhausting to have to constantly talk about him, because it is in the past, and we did feel a bit salty, but up to this point, outside of Tahir Whitehead, I feel like this organization has made a lot of good moves. And the one move that I think we all questioned more than anything was the move away from Cam. And I think right now, the first two games were exactly what we were looking for out of Cam. We were like, oh, see, he's back. And then COVID hit. And then now he's back on the field and he's having to face some tougher opponents. And all of a sudden, Cam's not back. And if anything, Cam looks worse than he did when he was playing. And even when he was throwing the ball down the field. I don't know if you've seen any of those balls, Cody. He was throwing some dimes, but he was putting a lot of effort into it. Like, he was putting his entire body into those throws. Like, he looked like he was forcing the ball. And he did not have the zip. It was not the Cam of old. And it pained me to say it, but I think we made the right move with Bridgewater. If this is a win now mentality on this team, if it's a building mode, if they're looking to create a culture here that's going to be a win mode, I love Cam, but I think he's over. I think he's done.
So I haven't gotten a chance to speak on this. And you know what? I want to say, I think me and Tony, specifically for two huge Cam Newton stands, have done a very good job as of late, not talking about Cam Newton. And me and Tony get called Cam Newton fanboys that never stop talking about him. But I didn't get a chance to talk about it, so I'm going to now, and I'm going to do it real quick. And then we didn't forget about the call. It was a great call. We'll get back into that. But this is the thing with Cam Newton. Was Cam playing well? Hell no. He looked like absolute shit. One of the things that I've had to come around on Cam Newton on, and I think this is just being honest, and I think that we've all kind of said this to one degree or another, is that Cam Newton is all of the good things that we said he is, but he's a bit of a front runner. Meaning when things aren't in the team's favor or when things aren't in his favor, when the cards start to get stacked against him, then it gets really heavy. But I'm not going to put that whole thing on Cam Newton. Because one, that Patriots receiving core, that might be just as bad, if not worse, than what Cam Newton had to march into the Superdome with when he was with the Panthers in 2017 in those playoffs, when we had receivers dropping passes in the end zone, okay? Those receivers for the Patriots made no separation. No. They have no speed. that Neal dude, Keanu Neal, whatever the fuck his name is, that guy is another Kelvin Benjamin. That guy,
Harry, I think.
That guy is
Harry,
100% another Kelvin Benjamin. And then another thing is too, he had that momentum behind him. I want to see what would have happened, which obviously we'll never know.
If he would have,
yeah, but if he didn't catch
None of this
COVID,
matters.
then
None of this matters,
had
bro.
to miss so much time.
None of this matters. There's only two things.
I know
really...
none of it matters. I'm saying I haven't gotten a chance to talk about Cam Newton. This is the last time I'm going to do it. Cam Newton, I don't know if it's done or not. I know one thing. He is in a situation that a lot of people said the Patriots weren't going to be a good team this year, and that's starting to look true. And their offensive line
their team is bad beyond just Cam Newton.
Absolutely.
I mean, their defense sucks right now, and even Gilmore looks sorry.
Here's the part that I'm talking about, and I think it's important that I point this out. Regardless of the wide receivers, because I am 100% in agreement there. He does not have weapons. He doesn't have help, right? He's not dealing with a star running back in the backfield or anything like that. And it is very reminiscent of the 2015 season, right? Throwing to no-name receivers outside of Greg Olsen. And he's got, you got to keep in mind he's got an injured Julian Edelman. I mean, there's definitely stuff out there that's impacting this. That's not the part that was concerning to me. What was concerning to me is when he was throwing the ball down the field, the ball had zero zip, like no zip whatsoever.
And it wasn't even in the area code. That's the other thing is the last time we saw Cam that bad, right, where the ball's like 10 yards short or 30 yards over.
Tampa Bay. The last
game something was wrong. Actually, and it kind of reminded me of 2017 or 20. It does. You start to wonder, is it the shoulder?
And that's what I felt when I was watching. It felt like even when he was using his body to throw, like he was getting the ball to the receivers after the second half, like before, like when people were like, "Oh, he's not even throwing it deep." He was throwing the ball deep and he was getting it there. The ball was taking forever to get there. Like it was like just floating, and it wasn't like a touch pass. It was just it just felt like the ball was moving.
It was so off. It was so off. Yeah. Something just felt wrong.
It does, and I don't
that's
know if
where you're scary. And one other thing nobody has brought up is if he really did have COVID, right? And Zeke had that. I saw somebody in the chat room or on Twitter say this too. Is Zeke came back after COVID? I think Zeke had COVID. I'm not sure if that's true or not.
And he looks
So there's a couple of things there. You just got to wonder, are we, because we're so hungry for NFL football, we're like, get out there, and these mugs are just coming off of like the flu. Who knows? I don't know.
He has the worst luck in the world. Everything
that's the dude. So that's Tyrod Taylor.
Everything starts to go uphill for Cam, but then something happens and it derails it, man.
All right, let's go to
watch. Let's talk about
the next part, though. Speaking of another person, though, is that the caller started with Luke Kuechly, and Luke Kuechly's retirement was a sudden departure for this team. Is that I guess we saw potential signs of it coming because of the injuries he had and the concussion problems. But Luke Kuechly has been in the NFL less time than Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, is that we were wondering about Luke's play and stuff declining a little bit. We weren't necessarily going, oh, this guy can't play football no more. But he left, and maybe at the right time for him, so he doesn't look like a shell of himself. As you see some of these other guys, I mean, Greg Olsen is like not even barely playing, it feels like, for the Seahawks. But that is a big loss to this defense. And when you start to think about departing from Cam, maybe it was kind of, and now that we see some of these things, the right time, regardless of what we think about Teddy Bridgewater or anybody else.
I mean, it happened, man. I mean, Cam Newton's no longer our quarterback, and I think he's gonna. As much as it pains me to say it, I think Cam Newton's gonna go down as the greatest quarterback that never was.
But like Luke Kuechly leaving accelerated our need to rebuild our defense entirely.
Well, do you remember?
You know
I was saying for a long time, we don't realize until football starts being played just how much we're going to miss Luke. I mean, you don't drop off from a player like Luke Kuechly and expect things to look the same. I mean, Luke Kuechly was a perennial Pro Bowl, a Pro Bowl player, All-Pro. I mean, he was the man for a reason. His level of dedication was next level.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even just about what he could do physically. I mean, his mind was a weapon on the football field. And when you don't have that, I mean, he was the kind of player that made everyone around him better. And now that we're not, now that we don't have that, like our caller from Colorado said, Shaq Thompson just doesn't provide that same gusto. He doesn't have the hoorah leadership that Thomas Davis had, and he's not the cerebral badass that Luke Kuechly was. So,
and then we just gotta watch it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't get any of that, and now we just gotta watch Shaq. There were 3 names mentioned in the free agency, and interesting look, and I think some of my mind is being changed each and every week. One is obviously I've been a big Moten. I mean, we could have signed Moten 2 years ago, and we wouldn't have had a problem with it. You could have extended him 2 years ago, last year, this year. Now he's just going to get big-time ass money. And likely from us. The name that's growing more and more on me is Curtis Samuel, though. I thought before this year that I was not necessary. I don't think he was necessary to keep going forward, but Matt Rule gushes about this dude in every press conference, and he does catch the fact that we threw to Robbie Anderson on 3rd down in that game upset me. It's like you should almost go to Curtis Samuel every 3rd down until he doesn't catch it.
I really wanted to talk about this, and I wanted to ask both of you, and I want to ask everyone in our chat, do we sign Curtis Samuel or do we trade Curtis Samuel?
You don't trade. You cannot.
You don't trade. Okay, so hold on. Okay, so one, but okay,
I'm interested in what if we traded Moten?
No, what? Why?
No, I would never trade Moten. Big time pick. Maybe you could get think about what Houston did last year, and they traded for that shitty dude from Miami.
Yeah, but
the guy that took the bong hit right before he got drafted, and they got a 1st-round pick. Now, I'm not really saying we should trade Moten. I don't think that, but we mentioned it earlier. I was talking about trade material. CK in the postgame was saying we're going to go get people. I've kind of been in the idea that we're getting rid of people.
Let me add some context to this, right? Okay. Who is more important to what we do, DJ Moore or Curtis Samuel? Because if we pay, if we're in a situation where we're going to pay one or the other, then that means we have to pay Curtis Samuel at the end of this year. If we want DJ Moore more than we do Curtis Samuel, well, DJ is due to be paid the year after next.
And you get a 5th-year option on him. I don't think we're going to be able to keep Curtis Samuel in free agency unless he takes a hometown discount.
As much as I would like to keep him, and I've been one of the biggest Samuel supporters that there is, I think he's he's a fantastic football player. And if we ever do figure out how to get him the deep ball consistently, I think we haven't even seen the best out of Curtis Samuel and what he has the potential to do. But if we're not going to sign him and we're going to use that money for DJ Moore and, we're paying Robbie Anderson as well, then why not trade him now and get something in return for him
Yeah.
rather than letting him walk out the door at the end of this year. Because are we really going to pay Moton and DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel?
Can I tell you, as much as I love DJ Moore, I would be more apt to trade DJ Moore. And it's not because I don't like DJ Moore. It's that right now, what Curtis Samuel offers is more versatile and what we need on the outside. Right now, the two biggest needs we have are red zone threats and tight ends, which can be a red zone threat as well. So right now, if you can get rid of DJ Moore and trade him for a decent tight end or something like that, and then we go and sign maybe a big body wide receiver to complement Robbie Anderson on the outside, I think you've got a good amount of versatility with Robbie Anderson, Curtis Samuel, and then a good pass-catching receiver and a good number 2 tall wide receiver, similar to what Devin Funchess was, or that we could never make him be, under the previous regime. If we had Devin Funchess in this offense, I feel like Devin Funchess would be going off right now.
I didn't hear to see that coming.
I mean, I understand. I understand the mindset behind it, but I don't know, man.
I feel like we should be acquiring assets at some point. Now, I mean, it depends on if you keep winning, you're not going to be trading away players, But one of the hard parts we've had with Samuel is just trying to figure out how to get him on the field as much as we need him to be or want him to be.
Okay.
Right? It's like,
because I'm not reading his comments. He said we should trade Samuel to the Browns for David Njoku.
No.
Ooh.
Samuel does more for what we want in this offense than DJ Moore or Robbie Anderson does a very good amount.
DJ's like our number 2.
I know, but look at those touchdowns that he's had. Like, they have been like the one touchdown he had it was blown coverage, right? It wasn't even something that he just did. I love DJ Moore, and I think he's going to be great. But I don't think that, like I said, if you're comparing it to what Curtis Samuel does and DJ Moore does,
who's really going to trade for any of these dudes, though?
I think there's a lot of people. I think New England would trade for either one of those guys, honestly, right now.
The Packers
would, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a few teams.
The Packers might need something like that.
I think there's
because
few
that Scantling guy, Valdez, he drops everything.
Guys, think about this: the Saints are in need of wide receivers. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
well, we're not trading with our own division.
No, but I'm saying wait.
But I do want to go back to this though. Who do we reasonably think the organization is going to choose to extend? DJ Moore or Curtis Samuel? Because we drafted both of them. We're definitely keeping one of them. One of them is going to be on the team longer than the next 2 years. Okay, I'm saying, who are you going to take your bet on that player?
I think you're right. I think you're right. I agree with you.
Yeah, it's DJ Moore. So if why not get something for Curtis Samuel now when you have the opportunity to do so? And listen, and now that we have Christian McCaffrey coming back too, I feel like that Christian can do. I mean, it's literally a wide receiver running back we're talking about. It's the same kind of role, kind of thing that we're going to ask them to do. So, and like I said, I want to pay Taylor Moton. So we have to pay DJ Moore receiver money and right tackle money to Taylor Moton. To me, I say you trade Curtis Samuel.
I get you. Dante Jackson also going to be in the mix. Numbers 252-228-5098.
Tough, right?
Here is the next call.
What up, C3 boys? It's your boy Mike, aka Supreme Lickers.
What's up, Mike?
Hope y'all are doing well.
What's up, brother?
Quick note, just want to encourage everybody out there to vote. Election day is coming up soon, and just go out there and make your voice heard. It's not only about the presidency; it's also about your local government, because those are the people that are going to be making the laws in your state and this and that. So it's very important to go out and vote for your local government. Know who you're voting for. Don't just vote, Republican because you're Republican or Democrat because you're Democrat. You gotta research your people and know who you're voting for. So where I went to was ballotready.org. That's ballotready.org. Okay, enough of that. Not looking forward to this game this week. Julio's back. That's gonna suck. I'm intrigued by, what they're building in Carolina. I thought Burns was gonna murder Breeze on that play. I thought that field goal was good too. That 65-yarder. It looks like Curtis Samuel has been listening to the podcast because he's playing lights out, especially on them third downs. Tony, I like to push your buttons, like drafting tight ends in the first round. Oh. Snicker. What do you think about Curtis Samuel now? I know your opinion has changed. Tell me that. Keep pounding. Tampa Pride till I die.
Good call. Thank you, Mike, Supreme Leader. My mom's in the chat room begging people to say the rosary and to vote pro-life.
Shout out Mama Dunn.
I saw her there. I'm like, oh, man. Call your mom, she said.
My mom was in the chat room earlier. She posted a little dancing emoji.
Curtis Samuel is finally, he's just coming up with big plays, man, relentlessly. And I'm kind of, it's been waiting for him to just blow up into what I want him to be, what I thought he was going to be. And my friends do call me Tony Catholic. That's what my mom just called me.
Really? Is that the name?
My friend Kenny used to always call me Tony Catholic. Anyway, so is that Curtis Samuel is like, it's like one of those things is that you're just so excited for him for so long, and then it just wasn't there. And now he's making these big plays. But the problem, I continue, and this is why I'm in agreement with you, Cody, about like trading Curtis Samuel. It's like we just don't know how to use him. Like we don't have the space at this point, and it's not even his fault. It would almost be best for him if like DJ got hurt.
Yeah, it's
if DJ got hurt and he could play that spot, that DJ, because I think that Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson's been the dog on this team the whole time.
Yeah, and it goes back to our coaches thinking that they have two number one wide receivers in Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore, and we already know that they have the connection: Matt Rule, Teddy Bridgewater, and Robbie Anderson, so we know he's going to be here for a while. DJ Moore is a part of the plans. Yeah, it's just,
and you can't have DJ and Curtis out there together. That's the thing, is that they're both kind of undersized dudes. And Robbie Anderson's already like skinny and undersized, so we're small. So you just can't have them all out there at the same time. And if you are going to do some stuff like that, you can use Christian McCaffrey like that. Mm-hmm. So I just feel like it's like, and I think that's been part of the problem with Curtis Samuel is we just have not figured out how to use him to the best of his ability when it comes to our team and our scheme. So I'm kind of with you. That's where I get. I got to eat a little. I won't say eat crow when it comes to Curtis Samuel, but he is doing better than he's finally doing it.
What do you get for him? Like, what is it that you like? What do you do for a? So you trade him for a fourth?
No,
Third?
No,
dude.
No,
he's way more value than a fourth.
Pick.
Yeah, he's not
at least a second round. He was a second round
crazy.
Pick.
He was, but you ain't gonna get a second round for him.
I think he's proven that he's worth the value of the draft that he was drafted at.
I'm damn sure not taking less than a third.
You ain't getting anything for him though if he walks out the door.
He ain't gonna walk out if you're gonna tell me that there isn't a team out there that would give a second round pick for Curtis Samuel, that's a speed receiver. That people forget, man. Curtis Samuel ran a 4.31.
Second round picks are big time, bro. I don't think you get more than third. I say you send him to Green Bay for a fourth.
had a good quarterback since he's been here. Hurt Cam Newton, Kyle Allen, and, Bridgewater is what Bridgewater is, So it's like, dude, imagine if he did have someone like Aaron Rodgers or Josh Allen or whatever, man. Someone else chucking him the rock. I mean, that might be what the doctor ordered for a team that's trying to make a push right now. I'm glad to give up a 2.
Okay. All right.
I still believe that you're not going to get enough value out of Curtis Samuel right now to justify not playing him until his contract's up. And if he ends up blowing up, well, guess what? We sign him.
His
and then
contract this year is gone this year.
No,
so
this is his fourth year. This is his 4th year. He still has a 5th-year option.
No, not for a second-round pick. I don't think you get that.
Yeah, Samuel doesn't have a 5th-year option. We have to pay him this year or at the end of this year.
Yeah, like he'll be a free agent at the end of this year. I'm pretty sure.
So we might as well get something for him, man. And again, it goes back to Marty Hurney, man. I don't think Marty Hurney. I mean, that's the smart thing to do. I don't think Marty Hurney's going to do it.
He did trade. Do you remember? He did trade Kelvin Benjamin.
Yeah, but dude, I'm gonna compile the list.
That was a big deal. All right, next. Let's just go to the next call.
Bad move he's made.
All right,
and then read it.
Hi, it's Kevin from Charleston. My question is really directed towards Cody. If we don't get any of the top 2 quarterbacks, who's that third guy that we could probably draft?
Oh my God!
Like a Jordan Love, maybe late round selection that people are sleeping on. And also for the game coming up with the Falcons. Who do you see having a breakout game on both teams? Because I'm playing DraftKings this week, and I need someone who's going to put up some big points who doesn't cost that much.
Calvin Ridley, homie.
Appreciate it. Peace.
Appreciate it. Man, that's a good call, too. So where to start with that one?
First, all right,
and dude, listen. I got a bone to pick with you, man, because I feel like you just throw out these half-hearted, he's from North Dakota State. That guy sucks. Dun, 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 dun. Like,
they
bro,
can't be quarterback you all of a sudden, dude. They can't be. I just don't believe
it. Dude, you're basing your opinion. Okay, have you seen him do anything?
No, I don't even know the dude's name. All
right, so then stop it. What are you doing, man? What are you doing? His name is Trey Lance, and yes, he's from North Dakota State. North Dakota State University, same as Carson Wentz. And yeah, homeboy does it all. He's 6'3", 220-something pounds, I think. Runs fast as hell. Has an incredible deep ball. Last year, he threw for over 30 touchdowns. No interceptions. I think he ran for almost 10 touchdowns also. The problem that people are going to have is he's only played 1 year. And there's only 1 year of film. And yes, took Pat Tony on the head for his monkey opinions. The Bison, it's not an SEC football team. So the level of competition.
Oh, they're not?
No, it turns out
are they not. Even in Division 1?
I think they're Division 2.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. Like, I know this great high school player who's awesome too, but
dude, listen, man.
It's like last chance you, bro.
Yeah, I haven't done my deep dive yet into all the players that are going to be coming out this year. I know Kyle Trask, the quarterback from Florida. I know Brad Dugan's in the chat. Shout out, Brad. Kyle Trask is probably going to be a second, maybe a second round pick, I'd say. How about Matt Jones from Alabama? Some people are saying Matt Jones might be another Joe Burrow type, where he has 1 year and just puts up all these crazy amount of numbers, and he might play his way into the first round. So there are options, and I don't know his name at this point in time. Like I said, I haven't done a full deep evaluation yet, but the quarterback at BYU right now is apparently putting up really big numbers, and he's going to be available. Sam Ehlinger out of Texas has been a name that people have said for a while now. Went to the same high school as Drew Brees in Texas. Big time arm. But, there's a few guys, but right now the big three is Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, and Trey Lance. And honestly, I don't know if we're going to have a shot at any of those three. There might be 3 or 4 teams in front of us that are going to take a quarterback before we even have a chance at one.
DJ Perez said, I heard some good news about this kid named Bobby Boucher down in Louisiana.
I heard he loves his mama.
Well, I also heard he's really afraid of the devil and he's pretty religious. So
yeah, you should. You got to do some scouting at Coastal Carolina, dude, this year. Is these guys?
Yeah, they're ranked right now.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude.
Yeah, they're ranked in the top 25.
Mike Tolbert, right? Josh Norman went there. Some other names are important. Now, when it came to this week, and I think it was a daily fantasy question. Robbie, basically you should just pick receivers on both of these teams to eat this week.
Oh, yeah. Calvin Ridley, I think across the middle, might have a big day. And then I think
Robbie Anderson.
Yeah, I'd say Robbie Anderson and Calvin Ridley.
The other thing
tell me I'm wrong. Doesn't DJ Moore normally have good days against Atlanta? I feel like every time we play the Falcons, he has a big play that he springs off.
No, you're talking about Calvin Ridley.
I mean, maybe, but I feel like DJ Moore does something every time we play.
What do you think about? Did you see that Todd Gurley meme?
Oh yeah,
he wasn't stopped. So he was trying to, but he felt, he crossed the plane anyway. But gosh, the internet, man, is just so mean.
Undefeated.
Yes, so mean.
It is undefeated.
All right, next call.
What's going on, C3 Nation? This your boy Jay Anderson, just hitting y'all up. Man, I hope y'all having a good one. Hope we win against Atlanta. Bury them, get it over with. But watching the last show, I have something I disagree with CK on this. And I know Cam is not on the same team. It's not on our team no more. But the whole, when he said it pains me to say that, the right decision was to let go of Cam. And I disagree with that. Respectfully, I disagree with that. And the reason why, Cam had an awful game, last game, it was awful. But we seen quarterbacks are going to have an awful game. It's just like Teddy Bridgewater. He had an awful game against Chicago and Tampa Bay. The first 3 games with Cam in New England, he had a good game. He had some good games. He was rusty the game he came back. And he had an awful game against the 49ers. Now, we all need to be, we can be honest, Teddy got better weapons than what Cam got up there.
Oh, yeah.
And, I know you want to say, I know you said that, Cam didn't have no weapons when he been in Carolina. That's true, but he had Greg Olsen. He had Greg Olsen as a weapon. He had he
don't got nothing.
Stewart. And plus Cam was younger, so he was more better to run, to bail our offense out. He ain't that guy no more. And I know a lot of people are saying, but 2015 Cam, people need, some people should have bypassed that and like, this is, we can look at 2018 Cam. He doesn't run as much, but, his last year, like 2018, when he had weapons, DJ, Torrey, Curtis, and all them CMC and all them boys, he was putting up numbers. He don't have that in New England. I think if Cam Newton would still been here in Carolina with the weapons that he has, he would have been putting up numbers.
Yeah.
And shoot,
I think so too.
the Carolina tight ends ain't that good, but they better than what New England has to offer. So I just respectfully disagree. I like Teddy being here, and stuff like that. I like Teddy being here, so it's all good and everything. But I kind of just disagree with that. I think Cam Newton would have been here. He would have done, he would have done good here. I don't think, I don't like the way they released him, but it wasn't a bad decision.
I agree with that.
It wasn't, I wouldn't say it was a good decision that they did it, because I think he would have flourished.
So I'll do a quick response to that. And I understand the mindset, right? It was one game. Well, really 2 games, right? He had a bad game last week and he had a bad game this past week. So the problem that I have is it seems to be getting worse, right? Like if you look at the first 2 games, decent games, right? He came out and people were like, he's back. And then we saw what happened halfway through the year in 2018 where his shoulder is not back, right? He starts to wear down and he's kind of actually got that, after you get, what do they call it? Just exhaustion really, if you want to get down to it. The part of it that I think that we could all agree with, right? Without Cam's running, we still felt like if he didn't have any shoulder issues, he's still a good quarterback. Like he still has the ability to get the ball where it needs to be. And he showed that in 2015 and so on and so forth. The issue isn't that anymore. He can't run, right? They tried that. He does not. If you guys have watched, he's been able to do little things here and there, but he does not have the same zip, and he's not breaking a bunch of tackles, right? He is going down, and so his ability to elude the pocket and everything is actually kind of just dropped a little bit. His ability to throw the ball is my issue. It's not that I don't believe. Like I said, I agree, and I said this before. I don't think his weapons are there. He does not have anybody to throw to. But it's not even that. It's when he has a wide open wide receiver, he is throwing the ball and he's getting it there. It's just labored. Like it just feels like everything he's doing is labored. It's putting more effort into a check down throw than he's ever had to do. Like when he was here at Carolina and throwing the ball, like he would throw the ball 15 yards down the field and it looked like he wasn't even putting an effort into it. And it was zipping. Like he would throw the ball so quick and so powerful that it just people would say it was one of the hardest balls to catch in the NFL because he's putting that thing on a line and it's getting to his receiver that way. He wasn't a touch pass guy. He wasn't. But the issue is he cannot do that anymore. If you guys watch his games, he is not putting the ball on a line. And because of that, he's not able to get the ball down the field very well. He's not, even when it is a 10-yard pass, he got the ball. He got like a 20-yard bomb to a receiver, and it was a beautiful pass. It was slow, and it just looked like it took everything he had to get it to that point. I just don't believe. I'm worried about, like, I want him to succeed. I want him to be able to come out and then just blow the doors off of people. I just don't know if it's going to happen.
Yeah, it just looks reminiscent of when the shoulder was a problem. We'll see. We'll see another game. I mean, is that you gotta say this, is that getting benched for Stidham? I mean, he got benched, dude. So that's problematic. There's a lot of chat going. Here, though. All right, man. We're almost done anyway. We got this last call, and
love you. Later.
What was it? I was gonna say. Oh, there's a lot of chatter about trading for tight end on a rookie deal. Yeah, I don't even know who would be out there. Yeah, Evan Ingram is a name, right, for the Giants. The Herndon guy from the Jets. I don't know. We'll see.
Such a bad. People really think that we're not. People need to understand that rebuilding and tanking aren't the same thing. We are definitely rebuilding. Okay, if you want to say that we're not tanking, that we're trying to be competitive, that's fine. But you don't trade for players during a rebuild.
If we win this week, though, you got to start thinking, man, we're in the division.
We would be 4-4.
You could maybe catch the Bears for a wild card. You know, what I mean, if you think about it, is that you would be looking at the Bears, the Lions, wild card. What's up, Nick Montiero? Thanks for the donation. $4.99. He said trade the Jets for Quentin Williams.
I would love that.
That would be a good deal. Well, you know, that might actually be the more important acquisition to make than a tight end at this point. Yeah, I don't know. Is that we'll see this way. You know, if we lose on Thursday night, you're starting to think that it's getting out of reach. You win Thursday night and you're hanging around 500, and you look at the NFC East. You know, there might be a wild card spot you can make there, but it might be coming out of the West, to be honest. And aren't there additional playoff spots this year?
Yeah, but there's an additional playoff spot, and shout out to Tim Tizzy, and I think you just said it too. It looks like the NFC West might have all of them. I mean, they have
their whole division should go to the playoffs.
Yeah, dude, the Cardinals, the Rams, the 49ers, dude, they're all good, and the Seahawks, man, they're good. So yeah, I don't think that we should be trading for any player. I don't want to go get David Njoku, Quentin Williams. Would love to have him maybe after this offseason. Again, the Jets are going to have the number 1 pick, so there's no reason for them to ship away any more young talent.
No, they've already said they're shopping them. And the one good thing about that, the one thing you could do in a trade for someone like Quentin Williams, or even you would have to be so confident, and it might be Quentin, whatever his name is, whatever Williams, Q Williams. He or Ingram, is you have to be so confident in that acquisition that you're going to give them a deal in it, right? Is that because they're hitting the point where they need a deal? That's why they're trying to get rid of them. And so if you were, but the cool thing about that is that you get basically it's a free agent move.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Is that like if you don't give a lot of assets away to get somebody, that is basically you're giving, say you gave away a 3rd round pick to get the guy in free agency you wanted.
Yeah.
That might be one way of thinking of it. All right, let's go to the last call of the night, and we'll close out the show. It's like we got a lot of shows to do in several days, so plenty of more to talk about.
Another thing I want to say, man, and this is nothing between y'all and nothing like that, but I got to express this. People need to get off Cam in this whole clothing. I'm like, the
Jeff
dude
Garcia.
can dress nice. It is not that hard.
Did you see that? Oh, you got to read the Jason Whitlock.
To figure out what you're going to wear to look good. It's not that hard to look good. It does not take that much brain power to figure out what you're going to wear to look good. You know, and like the whole Jeff Clown field, man. You know, it seems like we've been. No, the dude was here, and the dude dressed up. He's been dressing up ever since he got here. And it seems like the first thing they want to get on is how you dress. Deion Sanders say, "Hey man, you dress good, you look good, you play good." So, you know, it's a lot of players that dress good. You know, it's a lot of players that dress up, look nice and stuff like that. People need to get off that whole thing. I know there's some Carolina fans who got on and talk about, well, if he pay attention to more in the playbooks and his dress. I mean, if you're a real Carolina Panther fan, you know that Cam Newton always been in the films. He always been in the playbook like no other. You know, a player can't, you know, it seems like a player can't have fun, have a little something on the side to have fun with. It's something like he always got to be in the books. Everybody is not Luke Kuechly. People need to forget about that. Even Peyton Manning have his little fun. Yes, he in the playbook and he have his little fun. So the whole, you know, people getting on because because of his clothing. I'm like, come on, man. What grown man, you know, judge another man's clothing? I mean, women, they can do that. Women can do that. Dudes, grown men don't need to be doing that. So Jeff Garcia is clown behind. You know, he's just mad because he ain't better than Cam. All right.
Shout out Jay Anderson, man.
Yeah, you should. go and look at, I like I know is that people don't like him. Jason Whitlock just put out a story today. Cam Newton and Belichick, a remake of Get Out or The Odd Couple, and where he talks about, let me see, is that the one? Or was it there was one he put up today. I swear I just read it this afternoon, and it was about, no, that's from June. Hold on. It's not the right
one. It was Twitter.
That's what I'm trying to do. But is that it was talking about how he doesn't have a problem with his dress, but that his dress, I don't even follow him. Look at that. I don't even follow him. Where is it? What is the name of it? It was a pretty good article, man. I mean, in a way. Cam Newton, and it was all right. Look, he's a great writer, Jason Whitlock. I'll tell you that. He's controversial in his takes, but it's worth the read, whatever the damn title was. I can't find it in a moment. But yeah, who cares about Cam's dress right now? Who ever cares about it at this point? But he did say something. Whitlock did say something like you can't lead a football team in a granny, in an auntie scarf. Like that. It was funny. It was good.
At this point, it's a part of Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Like, the man loves fashion. He really does. And, he can pull off some shit that just other people can't. And I understand that. And by the way, if you remember last season, after that Tampa Bay game, even I was like, man, dude, after losing so bad, after putting up such a terrible performance, do you have to come in looking like fucking Willy Wonka? Like, and I even felt that way to a point at the end when it came to them losing, because it only added fuel to that fire as we tried to defend who Cam Newton is. So Jay Anderson's right. We've always known that Cam Newton was a studier, that he dedicated time to knowing the offense and being a good leader and being a good player. But from a surface point of view, judging from the outfits and all of the first down celebrations, it gives this appearance that Cam Newton is this egomaniac that only cares about how he looks on camera, how many people are applauding him. And I think that's an inaccurate representation of who Cam Newton is. I don't necessarily agree that it's the best move for him to look like that after being humiliated on primetime television. Yeah, I wouldn't do it. But that is Cam Newton, and at this point,
yeah, you can't not do it though. Now it's kind of like this:
right.
Is that I wear, for a long time I had to wear a shirt and tie to work. Now I work from home; I don't have to wear any clothes really. It's like the idea of ever wearing a tie again. Like, I actually right now in this COVID world could see a tieless world for me going forward. But my friend told me this because I wore them all the time, and he said, once you start wearing a tie, you can't not wear it. And then the one day I wear a sports jacket with no tie, my students be like, what is it, Casual Wednesday? You know what I'm saying? And then so it's like this. It's like if Cam didn't do it, it's almost a recognition that the clothes yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so there's no point for him to not.
No, I think the more how about this is that what's more embarrassing, the outfit or getting benched for Stidham?
So did you hear Bill Belichick after the game?
No,
he
probably just was like,
he was like, Cam Newton's the starter going forward, and there was just no point in playing Cam Newton. And Bill Belichick was very matter of fact about it. Like, it was like, oh yeah, can we go on with Cam? And that's
Joey the Black Panther says, laugh out loud, Tony's the naked professor. I'm not standing up right now, I promise you that. Oh, sorry. All right. Okay.
If this Joey wouldn't be able to see it. It would be.
Who you got winning this game this week?
I think we're gonna win, man. I think we're at home. I think it's prime time. no one outside of the Carolinas, dude, let's just be honest. No one gives a damn about the Panthers. I think this is going to be our one moment where we're on a national stage in front of everyone against a team that is much worse than us, that chokes all the time. I say that we're a better football team. I wouldn't be mad at anyone who said that Atlanta still had a better roster from a talent perspective. Because like I said, Atlanta does have good players, but they're just
defense is so fucked up right now. And Grady Jarrett's the only thing on that team that's worth a damn on defense. But on their offense, there is talent there. So you never know. Is that right now what I would say is that our defense is like not good enough to just play them 10 weeks in a row and stop them a lot. And think about it. Gurley had a good game against us. We had no Julio last time. So it really depends on how's Rasul Douglas going to be against Julio. Dante Jackson, I think, will be able to be okay with Calvin Ridley, except for we just play a lot of zones, so that doesn't really matter. It's really if Atlanta gets Todd Gurley going, if we can either stop him or if they do something stupid like they did in the last game and just like go away from him, like Lee Trotter was saying. I think right now our team, though, has given us, like you said, more reason. Like, we have reasons to think we should win. They've given us a ton of reasons throughout the season why they should not win. Right? The only thing is that offense, it does have some explosion. So if they get out ahead, it could be difficult for us to play from behind. Well, we didn't mention if Christian McCaffrey was going to be back for this game. He was activated. But he didn't practice, but he wore the shirt where he was like a non-combatant.
Originally, they put him in a red jersey, and that signals an injured player. Apparently, he wasn't having that and put on the
green jersey.
Yeah. And by the way, we should have talked about this earlier. But what about McCaffrey? I don't think that we should play him this week.
No, I don't think so either. I think if this was a Sunday game. Oh, look, Joey said he had a call. Did you just call in, Joey? 5222-552. So I don't think so either. I wouldn't want to play him.
Yeah, we're going to need him for Kansas City. Make sure he's 100% healthy. Why rush him back? I don't think that we need him to beat Atlanta. I do think that we need him to beat Kansas if we're going to have any shot in hell, but not for Atlanta.
All right, let's play Joey's call.
Hey, guys. Joey again. First off, before I get into what I was really going to say, I kind of was hoping we had that girl, Tori, can't remember how to say her last name, and I wouldn't dare say it over the comments because dictation would just take it and fuck it up royally, because that's how it goes. But, yeah, because this team has changed some, and, Anyway, I feel bad for that poor girl having to cover such a shit team. I mean, her talent is just being wasted. A la Cam Newton, but I'm not going to be talking about Cam Newton here other than to say, actually, you know what, I will. The headline on that game should be Cam Newton, doubtful to return after suffering an injury to his dick. Anyway, but y'all got me going with this tanking versus rebuilding. Not only do we not want anything to do with tanking, I don't even think we want anything to do with having a fucking goldfish tank. We don't want to hear the word tank, okay?
Okay.
And most teams, most fan bases have gone through a rebuild. Shit, even we have. But,
yeah.
And this is the thing about Charlotte, is Charlotte we might say, oh, well, there's not any real fans here because all the most of the residents are here today and they'll be gone tomorrow, and you never hear from them again, and you never give a shit if you heard from them again because you never knew them. But, I mean, most teams, like, look at the Jets. I mean, they've been around since the 60s. They haven't been shit since Super Bowl III. And, they're just bad. They've been going through a rebuild. But us, if we win, oh, great. If we lose, shit. Oh, well. That's all I got to say, guys. But you know how it goes. Wow.
I'm just going to power through to Nick's call.
Yo, what's up, guys? It's Nick. Hey, couple of things real quick. I know you guys are going to be talking about CMC all night long and the fact that he's
We
back.
actually hardly did.
Me personally,
Yeah,
I feel like we should give him another week just to be 100% sure that he's healthy because, let's face it, if we lose to the Falcons, who really cares at this point? I mean, I'm not saying that we're tanking this season, but we obviously aren't.
Don't use that word. No, goldfish.
So,
Goldfish.
I mean, why chance it? I mean, Mike Davis has shown that he can be proficient enough to hold
That's what
that
I
position.
said.
Let's let him go with it for another week. And then that actually leads to my second question. What if we were to actually make Mike Davis a tight end? Is that something that we could do? I mean, I know you guys know football better than I do, but with us being short on tight ends and with Mike Davis being somebody who
It would be a short tight end.
It would be the shortest little tight end in the history. It'd be like Kyler Murray.
Fat
Kyler Murray.
From the little that I've seen of him catch, would he
We
be
just
a
need our
suitable
tight ends to
end,
play tight end.
at least to get us through the rest of the year. But, Greg, I definitely think that you're right. I definitely think that we're going to be doing something before the deadline comes because we just released a couple of people this week. Didn't we release Seth Roberts, and also we just released Eli Apple today. So that frees up a couple of spots. I mean, it definitely makes sense that we're going to go looking for people. So, but let me know what you guys think. Love the show, guys.
Thanks for the
Keep
support,
pounding.
Nick. Christian McCaffrey, I don't see him coming back. If this was a Sunday game, maybe, right? But he hasn't even practiced yet.
I don't know. I just think Mike Davis has done a really good job. Our offensive line has done a really good job. I just don't see the pressing reason to get Christian McCaffrey back out there right now. Someone in the chat said knock the dust off against Atlanta. Kevin Beauchauvin said get the rust off with Atlanta. And I don't know. I think Christian's prepared enough that he's not going to have rust whenever he comes back. I just don't think that we need Christian for this matchup. I'd rather him be healthy long term. I mean, I think that if we win this, we're going to be 4-4 going into Kansas City. I mean, that's all we could really hope for right now. As far as Mike Davis being the tight end, hey man, I appreciate the question. Hey, if you have a question, you should always ask. There's no such thing as a dumb question, right? And one of the things about a tight end that people don't realize, it's just as important that they know how to block, because that's what makes them a tight end. And you can use tight ends to put them on the offensive line, let them block for a second, and then let them motion off into the flat. I mean, you can do a lot of different things with a tight end, but a real good one needs to be able to block, similar to how an offensive lineman blocks. Tackle.
He would always get low pad level.
He would get low pad level, but he also might get just beaten up too, man.
I think he would.
But hey, man, shout out Mike Davis. We love Mike Davis and what he's been able to do for us thus far. So
yeah, we need him at running back. That's what we need.
Sure. Oh, and one more thing. Did you hear that Matt Rule? They pretty much said that even after Christian comes back, they want Mike Davis to get touches. So
they better.
We are going to get our wish of having a 1-2 punch.
All right, that's the C3 Panthers podcast. A little short week. Going to be taking a week off of picking with the professor. Rafael Esparza is not going to be able to make it, so I need a week off to recover from last week. We've got the Thursday night post game. We're going to try to keep it short, so make sure you get your calls in quickly towards the end of the game. And ice up pick this week for me. I don't know. I got to go watch the Rudy Giuliani clip. I feel like that. I really want that to be it with the Borat movie. But I tried watching the Borat movie, and it was late on Sunday night, and I fell asleep. So
I can go the other way. I watched it. And by the way, I think Rudy Giuliani is a fucking moron. But I think they did him dirty.
Really?
It wasn't. They tried to make it seem like, oh, he was reaching in his hand to jerk himself off or some shit. It wasn't like that at all. Like his supposed Borat's daughter was in the back room helping him with the mic pack or something. And he was like moving his shirt around to get the cord out because it has to go up through your shirt. So she like untucked his shirt from his pants.
Oh.
So he laid down on the bed to tuck his shirt back into his pants. So his hand is going in his pants, and like they're trying to make it sound like, oh, he was reaching in there to start like jerking it or something.
Good. I'm not even gonna watch it now because I didn't even like Borat that much.
So, but how about that? That's my ice up then. I'm icing up the people that made this into a story because it goes against. Like, listen, I think Rudy Giuliani is not a good person or politician, and I think that whenever you do shit like this and you levy these false accusations against him, it takes away the credence of real things that he actually does that need to be brought attention to, that need to have attention brought to him. You know, whereas this is a non-story and the media online especially just runs with it. And it's dumb and it's not effective.
I'm going to ice up the Falcons, I guess, or the Falcons, the Cowboys, for being so bad. And I'm icing myself up for even thinking for a moment that McCarthy would have been should be a consideration for the Carolina Panthers. They are trash. All right, man, I got to work tomorrow. What's going on with you? Where can they find you on social media?
Yeah, find me on Twitter at Cody Lack, CODYLAC. There will be a brand new mock draft on Draft Tech next Wednesday. And me and Jeffrey are still doing the Cripple Connection podcast. We are probably going to be trying to stream some Among Us.
Nice.
Which would be really fun to play. I need to get all of us to play because it's really, really simple.
My kid keeps telling me I got to play it.
It's just
CK loves it.
Dude, it's just a whodunit. Like you're trying to find the saboteur, and it's awesome. So, yeah, we're gonna do that. So, be on the lookout.
All right, C3 Panthers podcast at cat_ Chronicles 252-228-5098. We'll be here Thursday night. Keep pounding. Go Panthers. We're gonna win this one.